Attention, pencils and papers out, write it down, don't forget. That's how you get a hold of me here on YouTube. It's a blessed event. I want to talk to you this time about saints. Very important subject, very important subject. Who knows about them? No, not much, and people don't know that thing. You go into a bookstore, let's say like Borders, and have tables of remainders, they're just the junk books, slime, sick, sex, slurp, saints. Pick up the book, open it up, and go back and see if there's a Saint Testicles, Saint of the Nuts, as we used to say when Catholic schools. No such person, but anyway. But how about looking up something like San Onofre? San Onofre. Nothing there. If you go to Google, and if you look up San Onofre, to your amazement, you'll have to go through some 90 items before you come to San Onofre, because all the others have to do with this nuclear energy plant in Southern California. San Onofre, as it turns out, was apparently, though they don't know, he may have been some sort of a nude character that traveled around the Egyptian desert, in the nude. I think that'd be mighty rough, but anyway. And he's looking for converts. I guess that's where you find him. Anyway, he's out there, and so this is the story. But unfortunately, you can't pin him down within 100 years either side of his supposed existence. So there he is. Now, of course, he is famous now. I guess he is the patron saint of atomic energy. It's through him that we'll glow in the dark. And it's a perfectly safe plant down there. Everybody knows that. They have experts. One expert said it was perfectly safe. He's the president of Southern California Edison, but anyway, perfectly safe. What they're doing right now is they're desainting. This is the work of John Paul II while he lived, and the Joseph Cardinal Ratzinger, who was the sidekick. And they were desainting to make more room for new saints, because you see, it's so crowded in heaven with these saints, and one wave one another, and they say, "So, would you mind moving over there for God?" Well, you move over yourself, or you smell bad. Well, it's so crowded, so crowded. So they're going to make room, get rid of the old ones. Now, one of the ones they got rid of, and this is interesting, really, is Saint Christopher. Now, Saint Christopher was the patron saint of travelers. And how did he get that? Well, he was a mighty man, and his employment was to cross rivers where the current was very strong, and he'd carry people on his back. And he was quite good at this, and what seemed a simple task to him was just a child on his shoulder. But when he went into the stream, the weight of this child was just crushing him. Why? Because, you see, it was the Christ child. Hence, St. Christopher and the patron saint of travelers. Now, when I was a kid in the 30s, you could go down to Van Ness Avenue to a Packard or a Lincoln or a Cadillac showroom or something like that. If you bought a car like that, they would install a beautiful St. Christopher medal. It was enamel on metal, gorgeous colored thing, free for nothing. And during the Second War, my mother insisted absolutely, before I went overseas to Europe, that I should wear a St. Christopher's medal to protect me. And I did. And of course, I'm very angry now when I think about it, because it didn't protect me from zip. Didn't protect me from squat. No, there was no saint. How could they do that to me? But they did. Well, this matter of the making room for the saints, part of it is that they want to make room for political characters that have some juice. It comes to mind as Joan of Arc. She was made a saint in 1920, and this was to get the Catholic Church back in the good graces of the French government, because right at that point the Catholic Church in France was literally in the toilet. Anyway, they make Joan of Arc, the maid from Lorraine, they make her a saint despite the fact that the Catholic Church had condemned her as a witch and burned her alive. And now she's a saint. Well, how in the hell are you going to explain anything like that? Well, my friends, that is what theologians and theology is all about. It's to square the circle here and make it perfectly plain how such things are possible. It's that simple. They even get paid for it. if you can believe that. Here's another kind of political situation. This is a Edith Stein. Edith Stein is now St. Teresa, something the other, I don't know. Edith Stein was born around 1890 or so, know that because she was just about the same age as my dad. Born around 1890, and she was born of a family in, well, it was Germany in those days, but it's now part of Poland, and from a very large Jewish family. And she was fortunate that she was born on Yom Kippur, which the mother thought was a very, very lucky circumstance. And so she was just absolutely potty about little Edith. And she let Edith have her way in everything. And Edith was a genius, genius, genius. From the earliest days, it was obvious she was going places. By age 13, she had declared that she was an atheist, and she began her philosophical writing based on humanism and atheism. And the First World War comes, and somehow she has a kind of an epiphany based on the horrors of the war, and she converts to Christianity and to Catholicism and joins a Carmelite nunnery. Wow. I mean, mostly, you know, what they do is they just pray, they're silent, scrub floors, and so forth. They made a special dispensation in Edith's case, however, because they let her continue her writing, and which she did. And this was while she was in Germany. And as it happened, by 1938, the situation in Germany was impossible for Jews. So they wanted to get her out of the country. She went to Holland, into a nunnery there. But that was a thing that failed as well, because the Germans invaded Holland in 1940. And when they did, they said, "Bring out Edith Stein, we want that Jew," which they did. This is the same thing that happened to Anne Frank, you'll recall. Edith Stein was brought out of the thing. She was, for a short time in Germany, sojourned there, and then was shipped to Auschwitz, where she died. Catholic Church says this is a case of a confession of faith. Well, it was an utter fraud. She wasn't exterminated at Auschwitz because of a confession of faith. She was exterminated because she was a Jewish woman, of Jewish blood. The matter of her faith had nothing whatever to do with it. It's just simply ridiculous. And when the Jewish organizations like the Anti-Defamation League and people like that found out what was going on, make a saint of her, they were absolutely furious, because what in effect the Vatican was saying was, this one Christian woman is a counterbalance to 6 million Jews that died in Auschwitz. And the joke being that it wasn't because she was a Christian, it was because she was a Jew that she was exterminated. This is the kind of stuff that the Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger was just famous for cooking up this kind of guck. Well, you have to have a miracle in cases like this. Hey, miracle. Somebody said that they prayed to Edith Stein and a miracle occurred. Well, this gal I think she's 4 years old, and kids, you know, they will swallow pills, and this kid swallowed 19 Tylenol pills. Well, it was discovered, and she was put in the hospital. They pumped her stomach, lavage, 48 hours, she's released. It's a miracle, a miracle. No miracle. 95% of cases of this kind are resolved in exactly that way. Pump the stomach, flush the stomach out, observe them for 48 hours, send them home. They'll stoop to practically anything. Take the case of Juan Diego of Mexico. This is a Lulu. This is even better than Edith Stein. He never existed in the first place. He is the one who is supposed to have seen the Virgin, and the Virgin says, I want a cathedral built right here, and you go and tell the bishop. And the bishop says, well, yes, but you're going to have to give it a miracle. And the poor Juan Diego goes back. He gets some roses from the Virgin, which are blooming out of season. He puts them in his cloak, goes and sees the bishop. The bishop looks at the thing, takes the flowers, and there, implanted on his cloak, is the Virgin of Guadalupe in this strange kind of cartouche, you see. You go down a Mission Street or any place like that, they're just all over the place. This is what this was. Well, as it happened, the bishop at the time of Juan Diego kept meticulous records, as did the bishops that followed him. And for the next 100 years, there's not a single solitary mention of Juan Diego. He never existed in the first place. Now, we come to a very controversial figure. This is Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa. You know, here's a case of a woman who, well, she's a bait and switch artist is what she was. You see, she had this hospice in India where the dying were sent to have merciful care. Not much in the way of pain relief, not much in the way of medicine, just pray over them constantly and change the bed linen. And she's out raising all this money, and where's she getting it? Well, of course, most of it came from such wonderful characters as Ferdinand Marcos of the Philippines, Baby Doc de Villiers of Haiti, and people of that kind. Ugly people who want to storm the gates of heaven and do so by giving great gifts to the church, which will certify to a certainty that they are candidates for paradise. Well, when she died, you know, she was on a fast track, that one, you better believe it. And there's a joke, it's a Hollywood showbiz joke I'd like to run by you, and pardon me, but it goes like this. The last time they met, Pope John Paul II and Mother Teresa, the Pope is trying to, you know, do something nice for Mother Teresa, and he says, daughter, he says, this may be our last time together. Please, let me do something for you. Oh no, Holy Father, oh no. Don't be modest, daughter. God loves you, the church loves you. I can name a church here in Rome after you. We can make it your name. No, Holy Father, not for me. Daughter, you must. There must be something I can do, something that would please you. There is, Holy Father. What is that, daughter? I'd like to direct. Oh, pardon that. But, you know, one of the problems with making Mother Teresa is simply this, you know, the woman is ugly beyond imagination. I mean, you're going, you know, the point being that they make plaster statues, you know, of all these saints. They can't make a thing with a face like that, you know. And I can't think of it. I thought maybe what they could do is they might remake the Wizard of Oz. You know, she could play Dorothy, and that would not soften her face, give her kind of a softer image than she was able to project. And if they did, it would be something like this. You know, and she's like this, and she's going. And there's been the cyclone. And of course, the house has fallen now in Munchkin land. And Mother Teresa's holding the dog, and she's saying, you know, Toto, I have a funny feeling this is not Calcutta anymore. And, oh, don't be frightened, Toto. Don't be frightened. Don't be. You're pissing all over my ruby slippers, you little fat dog. I turn into the Pope. Well, kill you. Dead. He didn't suffer. No, not very much. Mother Teresa knows, you see. Suffering was given to you along with pain. God gave this. This is a blessing. I told this to 5 popes I know. Yes, 5 popes. I knew them all. I always call them Popa Papa Poo Poo. And they called me Mama. I told them, I said, you must take pain. Yes, take pain as a wonderful gift. And for you people out there in two blends of the word, anyway, you must take pain. Take it. And I'll take Oxycontin and morphine. Anybody got a couple of tickets for Justin Bieber or whatever? I know a couple of priests. I think he's got a pretty cute ass. Bye-bye. Oh, pain's the name. Well, I guess she's in now. She's in. They have 4 popes waiting for sainthood. Pius IX, Pius XII, John the 23rd, and John Paul II. And of course, they have to space them out. And that's another one of the reasons why they had to get rid of so many saints in order to make room for this crowd. Well, in any case, that's it. I'll see you again. Notice always Vin Rogers Jr. Put that down as you would as your own name, or as a saint. It's a saint even. It's a saint even. Mark it well. Write it as we speak. I'll be here next time. You be here next time. Bye-bye.